Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 7th grade concept of solving rate problems. This is standard 7.4D in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 1 of the 2023 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So number 1 looks pretty straightforward here. We've got a ratio. They're going to go ahead and tell us straight out of the gate that we've got a ratio here. So I'll draw my fraction bar. We got the number of almonds to the number of raisins. Okay, so number of almonds to the number of raisins. So I'll represent it by this fraction here. The bag of trail mix is 4 to 3. Okay, so 4 almonds to 3 raisins. So they're going to give it to us in this ratio form here. And the order matters because they said almonds to raisins, so we can take that as 4 to 3. So 4 almonds to every 3 raisins. So there are 600 almonds. Okay, so my almonds are my numerator, so I'm going to call that 600 right there. And then how many raisins? All right, so my missing number right there is going to be the denominator, raisins. So we know that since it is a ratio, we know that it is an equivalent fraction. So we've got a few options here. First, we can probably do a little bit of guessing and checking, unless you happen to know your 4s all the way up to 600. But 4 times something is going to make 600. If we can figure out what that missing factor is right here, then we can multiply 3 times that exact same factor, and we would get our denominator, our missing number. But I know my 400s, right? So it's going to be 4 times 100 gets me 400. And then I probably need half of that. Maybe 4 times 50. Half of that gets me 200. So I'm guessing if that's going to get me 600, then maybe 150. Right? So that's one way to figure this out. Let me show you another way to figure this out. This is where cross multiplication becomes very helpful. Okay, since this is a proportion, we know that whatever this equals, okay, is going to be the same as this if you multiply those two products. Okay, so we know that's true. So 3 times 600 equals 4 times x. I'll just call that 4x. So that's going to be 1800 equals 4x. We know from the properties of operations we can isolate that variable if we divide both sides by 4. Because 4 divided by 4 makes 1, so that just leaves you with x. So now I've just got 4 into 1800. So I need to do a little bit of long division here. So that's going to be, let me see, 4 goes in that 4, right? And that's going to be 16, 20. Looks like that's 5, and that's going to be 20, so that's going to give me 0. So 450. So it looks like this is going to be 450. You might be asking yourself, well, earlier I got 150, and how did I get this 450? Well, I never quite finished this right here. Remember when I was doing this first one, I was trying to figure out, well, what could I multiply by, right? So I could multiply each side by 150. And guess what I get if I multiply that 150 times 3? You guessed it. That is going to be 450. So there's a few different ways to solve it, right? Cross multiplication. I could kind of break it apart into chunks and try to figure out what times 4 equals 600. But when I got that, you notice that 150 is one of my answer choices. I didn't bubble it in because that's what I'm multiplying by to get up to 600. Then I have to multiply that 150 by 3 to get that, because that wouldn't make sense if it was 600 over 150. So it is 600 over 450. 450 is our answer D, and the rest are incorrect.